So, if you're watching this video, then chances are that your turning looks like, well, like this. So today I will teach you finger tricks to help you turn the cube with better techniques and have a higher TPS. First step, get yourself a better cube. Holding the cube like this is called the home grip. Your thumbs are in front and you can use the fingers to move the upper and lower layers. When turning the cube, you should try to keep your hand in home grip most of the time. If you want to turn the U face, you use your fingers like this. Or if you want to do a double turn, a U2, you can follow up with another finger. Or if you know your cube very well and you want to take some risks, you can even do like this. Now, I don't really suggest doing this in the middle of a solve, but if you know your cube well enough, during AUF, it's fine to just do this. To do R and L moves, you just use your entire hand, like this. If you, for some reason, need to do an R2, you can do it like this, and then, since your finger's here, push it further, like this. So, like this. So that you can quickly return to home grip. Well, if you just do like this, see, you will not be able to go further. To do F moves, you can either use your thumbs like this, although I don't really think it's a good way to do it. Instead, I would just hold the cube like this and move my index finger here and do it like this. And this might feel a little awkward at first, but once you get used to it, it's very good to do. Usually you don't want to begin with an F move. Usually the F move will come after a move like, for example, an R prime. So when you do this, your finger will be ready to do the F move, and it's going to be much easier. For example, with a sledgehammer, where you do R prime, and you can see your finger's ready for the F. And then you can do R, F prime. For the D layer, it's all about personal preference. Most people use their pinky finger, but I also like to use my ring finger. And if you want to do a D2, you use both. Ring finger, pinky, or D2 with both. Those were the most basic finger tricks, but during turning, you will not always be able to have the perfect situations where you can do every turn like this, where you can do every turn like this. A good example would be one of the most loved algorithms in cubing, the soon. It goes like this. If you were to follow the standard rules of keeping home grip and doing every turn like this, once you do this, you'll realize, how can I do the U move without doing a regrip? The thing is, there are way more ways to do a U move than just doing this with your index finger. You can use your other finger as well by pushing it like this. Or if you prefer a more powerful move, you can flick it. So move your finger in front and flick it like this. So that when you're, for example, doing the soon, when you do the first R move, as you can see, your index finger will not be able to do this move, but your left hand is still in home grip, which means that it can do a push move or a flick move like this. So when you combine it, it will look like this. And now when you do the R prime, you will see that your finger's back here, so that you can do the push again, normally with your index finger. Go up, and here you have to do a U2. This finger isn't here, but your left hand is in home grip, so it can do the U2 for the right hand, and finally fall it down. And if you do it quickly, it looks like this. So that is an example where you would want to use some more advanced finger tricks. So you have the push, the flick, and you can do it with your right hand as well. When we talk about F moves, so for example, when we do this, you can do this, but you can also push it back. So when you want to do an F prime, instead of doing this, if it benefits you, you can also just do this. Another way of doing U moves is, for example, when you are in this position with your hand, instead of doing push, you can also just, since your hand is here, you can just turn it by putting your ring finger here at this corner and just drag it like this. Like this. So put it here and then just drag it. And sometimes you can be really creative and try even cooler things. Like, for example, the beginning of the F perm, where you put your finger like this, you start off like this, and then here, since your finger's already here, you follow up with the F move, like this. Or even maybe like this. And since your finger is here, you can do the U like this. Or even crazier, like the GC perm that I use, where you start off with an R2, and since you're in this position, you can do the U with your ring finger. M and S moves also come in solves, but they're not as common as the other moves. But you still need them for some arcs, so here's how I would finger trick M and S moves. For M moves, I usually only use M moves in my last layer. And since I am right hand dominated, I like to do my M moves with my right hand. But most people prefer to do it with their left hand, but once again, it's all about personal preference. The way I would do it is I would just put my hand here. To do an M prime, I would just use my ring finger to do this. And to do an M move, I would put my ring finger at the bottom and push up, like this. And if I have to do an M2, I would just follow up with my middle finger, like this. Here's an example, the U-perm. So I start off with a M2. Here I do a flick move. Here I have my ring finger like this to push it up. Do a U2 like this. And now push it up again. Flick it back. And end up with an M2. And finally, S moves. In my opinion, the most underrated move there is in the cubing repertoire. And if you want to see how you can use S moves to your benefit, click this video over here. The way you want to finger trick S moves is just by doing this. Basically like an F move, but then instead of putting it here, you put it in the middle layer. Generally, I do not like doing this because it requires your finger to travel very long way to be able to do the entire turn. So instead what I would do is I would do pushes. I would only do pushes. This is just way quicker and way easier because here your finger only has to travel this distance instead of this distance where you have to put your hand in a back awkward position like this instead of like this. Now, normal S moves are absolutely usable, but it's just my preference to do it like this. Finally, if you want to improve your TPS, usually I would just recommend spamming arcs, like, I don't know what arcs you like, the J perm, the E perm, which is my personal favorite. You can also do the Y perm if you want, which has F moves, which is good to practice with. But another thing you can do is to just spam cycles. One of my favorites is R prime, F, R, and then U prime, like this. By practicing this, you will be connecting your R with your F moves and your R with the U moves, like this. And with a lot of practice, you can turn like this. Now, there are many other ways to improve on your finger tricks, so if you have any good tips, please leave them in the comments. This was my video on how to finger trick a cube and to improve your technique. I hope you found this helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one.